So enormous reveals for the Forces of the Unforgiven today. We've got a new Dark Angels launch box, new Belial, some sinister looking new Dark Angels veterans, a new upgrade sprue, and a new Codex cover. Let's talk about what we've got. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics and a Merry Christmas to one and all. I thought I'd slip away from festivities just to quickly cover the new Dark Angels news. Always kind of fun for Games Workshop to give 40k fans a Christmas present for some new model reveals on the big day. I'll run through things quickly as I've got presents to open and a Christmas dinner to get back to. But overall I feel like this is some pretty cool stuff for the Forces of the Dark Angels. This morning we basically had a Dark Angels miniature leak that showed a few of these but not everything. It was posted to Reddit around about 8 hours ago and showed us some nice new pictures of Belial and his new miniature and these new interesting inner circle companions. It seemed kind of likely that these would be the things that were coming for the actual model reveal later in the day, so I thought I'd just hold off on making the video until we get the good pictures of them, and Games Workshop really haven't disappointed. On top of that though, it now looks like we've got some other fun new details. We've got a big Deathwing Assault box set, which has a bunch of Terminators in, as you'd expect, full images of the two units in much better picture quality, an upgrade sprue that is kind of cool for the Deathwing, but on the other hand probably means that we're not getting an actual Deathwing Terminator command squad back, and the new Codex cover. Games Workshop didn't really say when the pre-order dates with these would be going up, but given that Dark Angels were billed for spring, I'd guess probably January to early February. I suspect that we won't be waiting too very long for these. Starting out with the big box, and it looks like the Dark Angels launch box is called Deathwing Assault. This one is absolutely full of Terminators, so it's got the new Belial miniature, 5 Deathwing Knights as we saw previewed the other week with the option for their maces or sword loadouts now, and then 2 units of 5 Deathwing Terminators with the Dark Angels new upgrade sprues thrown in that we'll go through in just a second, the datasheet cards for the new Dark Angels Codex, and the new Dark Angels Codex supplement itself in a limited edition cover, I believe with Asmodai on the front. It's very much Dark Angels of one theme, it's your Terminator armoured Deathwing company, so pretty much adding one wing of the Dark Angels to your collection I guess. My guess would be that it'll probably be a similar sort of price to the Christmas Battle Force box set, 3 squads a character, some upgrade sprues and a codex seem like that would kind of fit the bill for that, though just maybe a little bit lighter on new miniatures than I might have hoped for. The 10 Terminators are just basically the standard ones but with the upgrade sprue thrown in, so you can have things like plasma cannons in the unit. Getting into the new miniatures though, and first up we have new Belial. He's the Grandmaster of the Dark Angels Deathwing, and he's got this new resplendent miniature. He solves a couple of the rumour engine questions. We can see that little skeleton reliquary there with the interesting purity seal, and it's also got that Storm Bolter that quite a few of you identified correctly in the last video as belonging to him. A pretty snazzy imposing miniature, maybe not too surprising that Games Workshop chose to update him given all the updated Terminators. He'll be striding into battle armed with the Sword of Silence, ready to strike down the enemy's best and brightest. There's a few other pictures of him as well. Here's the comparison to the current miniature. The Stormbolter does look similar, you guys were absolutely right there. And he's got the stylized Terminator armor that's not so different from the new Deathwing Knights that they showed off. Looks like there's the option to field him with a hooded head and a non-hooded head. Don't know whether he'll have the option of a helmet or not. At the moment this is his datasheet in game, fairly cheap to field at 85 points, and his main thing is giving the squad a whole bunch of precision type attacks. If the squad gets wiped and he starts to take damage, he's got the chance to bounce back mortal wounds, which is kind of fun. I must admit I think he's kind of niche at the moment rules wise, maybe a bit of a hard sell compared with standard Terminator captains. Hopefully Games Workshop give him a bit of a glow up with the Codex release. Otherwise, and perhaps the most interesting reveal of the day I think, are these Inner Circle companions. I believe that there's only 5 of them, but it's basically a classic old school Dark Angels robed veteran type squad. These ones armed with Calibanite greatswords, really quite big scary power weapons there, and one of them gets a fun standard. Apparently these guys are going to be used as bodyguard units for various Inner Circle high-ranking chapter members, though apparently they're not just drawn from the regular ranks of the Unforgiven. Games Workshop hinted in their teaser article that these could represent the redeemed fallen that the Lion has managed to draw to him, though it does look like the styling of the miniatures is Primaris style, so not 100% too sure what to make of that. Looks like one of these here is holding the sensor type thing from the Advent Engine rumours that we had, and there's a fair few bits of that stylized smoke type things that we saw for Asmodai. Looks kind of fun. I guess they might have sort of command squad style rules with a -1 to wound. Otherwise, that cool banner answers the Advent engine reveal from the other day. Looks like he's armed with a heavy bolt pistol as well, as best I can tell there. And there's one guy just holding his great sword in a sort of on guard type position. And then there's a couple more here. I believe that there's only 5 miniatures in the box, judging by the video release that they gave us. So it looks like there's 6 in Games Workshop's teaser reveal. I'd guess that these guys might be the spiritual update for the current Dark Angels veterans type kit that they have at the moment. Not sure whether this one will survive or it might get range rotated after this. It seems like a fairly fitting update though. Dark Angels wouldn't be Dark Angels if you couldn't have some guys with hooded cloaked robes and things. And maybe could be an interesting box for just having a few miniatures like this to see through the rest of your army. Finally, we've got the cover art for Codex Dark Angels, the Codex supplement that still gets used alongside Codex Space Marines. Art that we've had before there, but on a slightly new background. That seems to be the style for the 10th edition codexes. No real big previews out of this yet, though. At least these Codex supplements do tend to be a bit thinner and a little bit cheaper as a result, but I guess it means that you do have to still get it on top of Codex Space Marines if you want the full rules, so collecting these chapters tends to be a bit more expensive. Finally, and perhaps a little bit of mixed news, is this upgrade sprue. An upgrade sprue for the Dark Angels with some cool pieces. It's got one of the Raven Wing sort of like bite back type things for an Outrider squad, but seemingly just one of them perhaps. And then it's got some upgrades for regular Dark Angels, a whole bunch of shoulder pads for Gravis and Terminators, and perhaps most excitingly, a plasma cannon that you can arm the Terminators with, and a Watcher in the Dark holding a book. There's plenty of hooded, robed heads as well, which could allow you to sprinkle a little bit of Unforgiven goodness throughout your Primaris Space Marines, which I think is kind of fun. And there's a power sword that looks like it's aimed for a Terminator as well, that could be used with one of the shoulder pads. I guess, though, that if we're seeing the Terminator Plasma Cannon here, it probably does mean that we're not getting a new and updated Deathwing Terminator Command Squad or regular Terminator set. I honestly thought that that was probably an odds-on given that they redid the Deathwing Knights, but looks like they're just allowing that to be used for the regular Terminators now, so I guess it might mean that things like the Terminator Ancient and Apothecary might have their days numbered. Kind of unfortunate that, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. In any case, I'll leave that there for today. Let me know what you make of the model reveals. I feel like personally the coolest thing are those Inner Circle companions. Cool hooded and robed Dark Angels with some great big swords. Hopefully they're dangerous enough in close combat in-game. A Merry Christmas to all of you, and feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see more like this. I'll certainly try and keep up with Games Workshop's news and releases, with new stuff each day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and if you'd like to help support and keep these coming, that's linked down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.